This is the captain. We have a little problem with our entry sequence, so we may experience some slight turbulence and then explode.
There is no spoon?
Why a spoon?
Because it's dull, you twit. It'll hurt more.
Welcome to the party, pal!
You can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Hello and welcome to Somebody Told Me to Watch This, a movie podcast for those in fear of credibility. If this is your first time with us, I'd like to say welcome. If you're returning, I'd like to say thank you. But as always, if you learned anything from listening to us, it was purely accidental. I'll be your puppeteer today, Mike D, and we will dance this dance with my favorite marionettes. First off, we have killer number 12 1/4, Jenny D.
Hello.
Second, we have killer square root of 11, Rick D.
Why haven't you guys called the cops yet?
And as always, finally, we have killer number grapefruit, and yes.
Hi.
Today we will witness a pop-up book of cowboys and samurais in Bunraku, a film with a stylistic flair inspired by the films of Old West and Old Japan. It was released with an all-star cast, but did they stop us from noticing the wires? So let's start off in the usual way.
Okay.
How many people have seen this movie before?
I have.
I have not.
Nope. Bits and pieces.
Bits and pieces? Rick dragged you to it?
Yeah, he was like, watch this. I was like, I'm tired.
Do you own this movie?
I do. Yes.
Devoted
dear.
fan.
Devoted, meh. I just, it's a movie I hate that I love, whereas Killer Clowns is a movie I love to hate.
So let's start off right off the bat. Let's start with the stars of this film, which drew me to it, because there was a lot of people I knew, and a lot of big names about 10 years before this was made. I guess you'd call them really big. So the first guy, our main character, is Josh Hartnett. What other things has he been in? I know he was in...
The Faculty.
Oh, God. Sin City.
Yeah.
Sin City.
He was in bits and pieces. Anything else?
Like Black Hawk Down?
Yes, he was.
I didn't see it.
He's been in a decent amount of movies.
Yeah, and he's not a bad actor.
No, he's not.
So I know he's currently in Pennywise?
Yes. I believe
Penny
so.
Dreadful, that's it.
Penny Dreadful.
Yes, along with Eva Green.
Not the It Clown.
Yeah. Tim Curry always makes his way here.
Serious.
So what do we think of Josh Hartnett? Like, his character. Alright, I'll start off. Like most of the other characters in this film, I felt he very one note. Like, the character didn't have much more than we don't know his name, and he's just the wandering cowboy with no guns. And we know nothing else about him.
Yeah.
He played it alright, but he had nothing to do with it.
I think everyone had their own specific, like, thing they brought to the table. Which is why they had the different, like, styles of fighting, which is what the whole movie was about. I mean, if he drifted towards anything else, he wouldn't be the drifter, so to speak. He would be, this plus this. And I think everyone needed their own little niche to make them an individual in this story.
All right. How did you two feel about it, Angie and Jenny? Hartnett.
I don't know, kind of like you said, like he had his purpose, in his personality, so to speak, and he didn't drift away from that, but he never really grew either.
He was the same person at the beginning of the film and the end of the film.
Right. Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of, like, character development.
I mean, like any revenge thing, does anybody really grow at the end?
Sometimes.
Well.
Like, you have the stories where they end up wanting revenge, and then they don't take it because they grew past it.
And that's a terrible movie.
And in James and the Giant Peach, he grew back to normal size at the end.
He did.
It was kind of
literal
True.
and figuratively. But let me ask you this. I heard from a couple of other sources that good characters are something you can describe without mentioning what they look like and what their job is. Can you do that with Josh Hartnett in this movie?
He's a drifter.
Well, I think you probably could, only because there are a lot of other characters that are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Like an Indiana Jones kind of character. You know, like a gruff, kind of guy. And
A wise ass, heroic.
Right. And, so you don't
Thoughtful.
really, there wasn't a whole lot of uniqueness to the character. So
in this, you couldn't
wouldn't-
use any of those things to describe the main character, the Wanderer, Hartnett.
Huh?
She just did.
I just...
He's a smart ass.
Is he?
Yeah, he's a very big smart ass. I mean, by the way, he just
He doesn't talk very often.
you can tell by his facial features. He knows that he's the shit, and he's gonna go up. Especially when he goes up and punches the dude, and just been like, "No, that's $1,000 split 10 ways." And the guy comes after him, and he punches him, and he goes, "Now that's 2,000 split 9 ways." That doesn't quite go in, does it? That's a smart ass remark. He knows that they're not going to come after him.
But isn't that just being a tough wanderer out for revenge? Like, he's got to be.
He doesn't have revenge against them.
Tough
But just,
wanderer,
he's willing to
though.
do anything.
I don't know. Tough wanderer characters, to me, always seem a little smart-assy,
He's full of himself.
Yeah.
And he knows it. He knows that he's stronger than the people he fights, and there's very few times, and you can see it, where he's like, I'm worried this is not going to end well. So.
Yeah, I know, especially when he gets in random trampoline fights.
Yes.
Well, that wasn't because he knew he'd lose. That was because he was terrified of heights.
Yeah.
Why did he go up there?
He had to.
He could have just
The
stayed on
other
the
guy
ground.
went up there.
He's like,
yeah, but that's not his character. He's not he's not going to back down from a fight. That's not his character.
That's why he jumped the building.
Right.
He looked down. He was
Can't let it
scared, but he
go.
still just went for it. Happy birthday, fucker.
Whoa. But why?
What do you mean?
I don't know. Alright, besides the trampoline. What about his one quirk of smelling cigarettes or cigars and not actually smoking them? I didn't understand that.
Adrenaline
really.
junkie. It's a sign of an adrenaline junkie. Like, there's some where he does smoke them a couple times, but it's usually not when he's fighting. When he's sniffing them, he's getting that high of just going into it. It's a weird thing that they do, but yeah, it's a sign of an adrenaline
I also
junkie.
got the impression he was maybe attempting trying to hold back from not smoking them, and then at the end of the movie, he just smokes it. Because he definitely wasn't smoking cigarettes.
Well, in the bar, he has that one that he has. It's like that tube. It almost looks like a makeshift crack pipe.
Yeah,
Maybe-
but he doesn't use it.
Maybe
He
the
does.
craving
Oh.
drives him
Mhm.
to fight
Yeah,
better.
maybe. Or maybe
he
he
has
made
a thirst.
maybe he made a promise that he wouldn't smoke another cigarette until he had gotten his revenge.
Well, yeah, I don't understand. Like, there are cigarettes in this realm, but then there's like that weird crack pipe thing.
Yeah.
Where they're like a tube.
Yeah,
So I
and he
don't-
didn't light. He only lit that one weird cigarette once.
Yeah, he smoked it in the bar.
And then there was another time when the bartender attempted to light it, and he shoot him away.
I guess it's only when he's about to fight.
Maybe.
So, other than speculation, did they actually go into it in the movie?
No.
Not that I've seen.
No.
Just
But
it's a
I
thing he
noticed
does.
at the end, the last scene, he actually had an actual cigarette and not that weird crack pipe thing.
At the end? He'd
Yes.
smoked at the end?
Yeah, he smoked at the end, and it was an actual cigarette, with the filter and everything. As opposed to that weird thing, it looked like a pool cue that had some sort of weird.
Yeah, it's a little crack pipe thing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to call it, crack pipe thing, because I don't even know what it is.
We have no idea.
Is this before what vapes were back then?
I don't know. Maybe.
That's where
Maybe
it
it
all
was
took
supposed
off.
to be the future interpretation of what people might be smoking in the future or something.
Maybe.
Well, how'd you think of his voice? I always thought he was trying to do that Clint Eastwood type of thing. Low,
Yeah.
growly.
That's exactly what he was doing. He was going for the cowboy.
Right.
Like that just, I don't really know what I need to be doing. kind of thing like that. So, I mean, I don't have anything against it. I mean, that's his character. If that's what his character does, that's what he does.
So, do we think he played his role well?
Yeah. I think so.
For what he was given?
Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't a problem with it. I mean, the only problem with it wasn't his fault. I mean, being cliche and everything. I mean, that's not his fault. He didn't write it.
Now, let me just go on and say that his brawler fighting style was fantastic. Just being like that train yard brawling where he just punches the crap out of something. It's just one hit and one hit hard. That was such an awesome... I loved when he was fighting. It was cool.
Eventually, in the movie, he goes to a poker game so he can meet the guy he's looking for, played by Ron Perlman. Is that how he was cheating in that card game?
Yes. When that guy went over to reach for it and he put his hand on top of it, his hands are so fast he switched the cards around.
And he kept doing that for the rest of the game.
He switches cards. That was his thing. He cheated to win.
But on the other hand,
they were cheating
so did
too.
they. So
yeah, they were cheating at the top,
and he knew they were.
But that didn't really come out of
Like
nowhere because he was doing magic tricks and stuff like way at the beginning.
Yeah, that was just him switching the cards.
Right.
But how'd he switch the
sleight of
cards?
hands, you know.
So every time he had to go over and grab their cards.
No, it's just his unique skill where he can. I think what happened was he put them on tilt with that, and then he had his hands on the table. So after they went on tilt, he just started winning.
But wouldn't they still be able to see his cards?
You can play blind. I mean,
we just have to basically guess
all you
because the
have to
movie
do is
really
this.
doesn't show us.
Yeah, it doesn't show
Yeah.
it. But I'm guessing that what happened was when he did that and everyone else saw that the cards were changed, they just went on full tilt.
Full tilt? I'm kind of lost in poker terms.
Tilt, as in like you tilted. You're not playing on your right game. It's it messes with your head.
I'm thinking of pinball and shit.
It's exactly like that. You shake it so much it just doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that they... And then he was doing a lot of, like, you know, making really big bets just to get people to fold.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, that was the beginning.
No, he did that later on, too.
Well, they didn't show any of it.
I mean, they just saw it. They did the one bet where he put the whole stack in, which then he won that whole stack in front, and it just kept growing.
Yeah. But with that scene, it made it seem like we were to assume that he kept doing that trick over and over again.
Maybe.
He could have.
All right, let's get to the opposite side of this revenge coin and talk about Gat or Yoshi. Inspired by Mario Brothers?
No.
No? Josh Hartnett did not ride him once?
No. If only.
And he is basically a samurai who has very honor bound.
Mm.
So I could use that to describe him, but all samurai kind of are.
Yes.
So let's use the same thing as we used with Josh Hartnett. Nate, talk about him without describing his job, samurai, or what he wore.
He is the most stereotypical Japanese samurai that you could ever imagine.
Right. Yeah, they didn't really think out of the box with this movie. What you saw was what you got. The cowboy, and you got every cowboy that you've ever seen in film
without a
wrapped
gun.
up in this guy without a gun. And then samurai was the same thing. You got every single movie stereotype you could think of wrapped up in one.
How was he as a samurai Gat?
I thought he was fine. I mean, there were many points where like I actually laughed because he is innocent in what he does too, because he's just like he's a villager. He doesn't go out and fight wars. He's very kind of self-contained with everything. And when they came in and they put the wasabi on him, and he just started eating it just to like, you know what, screw you.
Mm-hmm.
I will just eat this in front of you. And I crack up every time.
I kind of thought he was going to vomit on them though, which I thought would have been pretty funny too.
I would have.
Like right in their face.
This is not a Seth Rogen movie.
Sorry, I lost my head for a second.
With that, I noticed after he did that, he started fighting all three. He throws one of them into the restaurant while he fights the other two. And then, did you notice it like cut hard to where the third guy was then in his hands again and the whole place was screwed up? I think they cut out a fight scene from that?
They could have. I'm sure it's in like maybe deleted scenes or extended scenes or something. But I mean, he had the one guy in his hand the whole time.
Yeah.
So he was moving him around and then fighting off the other guys.
Yeah, like the part I was saying, like he threw him into the tables, and then it was a real quick cut, and like, but it was like the same kind of angle, so I didn't know any time that passed, and I thought he just warped back somehow.
I mean, it could have just been a, we're not going to prolong this fight as much as they have to. They get beat up, they get thrown out. That's it.
Yeah. What happened to his sword? Like, he doesn't use it till the very end. And I was wondering, like, are swords illegal?
He never had
he
one.
didn't have one.
Oh.
That's why he said a cowboy without his gun, a samurai without his sword. He got the sword from the group.
So what happened to his sword that he used to train?
Didn't bring it.
Well, they
why he
explained
lost it?
that the Jin is like a compassionate martial arts. Like, it's the only one where there's like compassion in it too that you need to have. So a sword is never compassionate.
Right. Yeah. So maybe
he just trained with a sword and then no. I'm too good for
I
this.
think he would have maybe trained like with a kendo stick or something.
I'm sure he did also train with a sword, but he never killed anybody with it until probably now. Because
I did not grasp any of that.
Well, they were talking about it in the beginning scene. He and the uncle were talking about it.
Mm-hmm. No, I thought the narrator was talking about it.
No, they were talking about it in Japanese, and there were subtitles.
Yeah.
The comic book
No,
subtitles.
I meant like what Angie brought up with the Han is the hardest to master.
That's
That's
what they were talking about.
I thought the narrator was going over that, not
They
them.
were talking about it.
No, they were talking about they both did, because he said in Bushido Jin is the hardest to master.
Yeah.
And
that was the narrator.
That was the narrator, but they also said like about Jin in the conversations. Like when the uncle said this is what Jin's all about, and he doesn't actually strike them at all, if you notice. It's more of just holding them and pushing them and throwing them. He never strikes them once.
Now, with this movie overall, it's supposed to be a post-apocalyptic world. The world went to shit after the last gun war, like any other war would have taken place.
Yeah, it was a nuclear holocaust.
We have a thing for post-apocalyptic movies
But
with
like
this crowd.
It was actually a nuclear holocaust.
But they mentioned gun war.
Well, yeah, gun. Sword went into the gun went into the missile went into the nuke.
They didn't say that.
Mm-hmm.
They did?
Yeah, in the opening sequence.
Yeah, I remember that. I thought it was
they
gun.
launched the nukes.
Sword gave birth to gun, and then the war happened, and then gun led to sword.
Right.
But sword can't be carried around openly?
They can. If you notice,
had
Kevin McKidd has his... The Killer Number 2 has a sword on him all the time.
Yeah, but it's disguised as a cane. He doesn't have a sword out in the open.
And the other
and he
people
owns
have,
the police.
And everybody else has swords and stuff too. So, I mean, when they're fighting, they're stabbing and killing them. So, yeah, the swords, you're allowed
Only
to carry.
Only the killers do.
You're still allowed to carry it. I mean,
I
even
didn't see
now,
anybody but the killers carrying them.
I mean, they have knives, they have...
I mean, not even the Green Day gang had them.
I mean, they do have them. It's just, if you have a sword, you have it.
The police didn't have a sword. They had those overgrown nightsticks.
I think they had halberds, too.
Huge swords? I didn't notice that.
No, it's a sword on the end of a stick.
Yeah. All right. We might as well get on to the supporting cast because there's so many people of star power. Let's. The bartender is Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
I loved the bartender.
He was probably my favorite character, and I don't normally like Woody Harrelson.
He definitely, I felt he knew what movie he was in, and he was having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
He was not taking it seriously, and are we supposed to gain that he's kind of the narrator? I know his voice isn't the narrator, but is it supposed to be kind of...
No, it's
the narrator's just there.
An omnipresent figure.
That's there for a lot of the beginning. And then he goes away and talks once or twice.
I don't like the narrator.
Yeah.
I think he kind of drew away. If he was in the beginning, that's fine. But him talking through the entire part of the movie, we get it. We don't need you to speak through this part. I get it. It's stylized, but narration is just kind of lost.
Shorthand. It's basically a movie's way to just sum up everything real quick. Here's the world without showing you or having your characters just talk in exposition for the first part of the movie.
I kind of thought it would have been better if the bartender had been the narrator.
Yeah, because he has the pop-up funnies.
Yeah.
It's kind of that style, so...
Yeah, that would have been good.
Yeah, and he's always drinking but never drunk, I've noticed.
Yeah.
Like a good functional alcoholic.
He was drunk with Yoshi when they were sitting there doing the shots.
Oh, yeah, he definitely was.
Oh, was
And
he?
then he got home and he was like, my bed's calling me. Like, he was definitely noticeably
Yeah,
drunk.
he was definitely slurring his words. And Yoshi was drunk, too.
And he's the one who has the most backstory out of everybody.
Yeah.
Like, he got his own little flashback in comic book style. Pop-up book style. With Demi Moore. Surprising. Again. But she is she's not in it very much.
No, she's not really an important character either.
No.
Yeah, it's kind of a waste
I
of
wonder...
a big-name actress for that.
Yeah, there were some parts that I thought she was really good in. Like, one of my favorite parts of the movie was her and that nut cracking scene.
Mm-hmm.
Just she's smashing the nuts and making the main henchman, number 2, very uncomfortable. And she's doing it deliberately just to piss him off, and I like that scene. I was like, that gives her personality.
Yeah.
And it's more than just, she's just not sitting back there being like this confused damsel, because she is being held hostage by Ron Perlman. So she's actually, I know I can't be touched, so I'm going to use that to piss off the people I hate.
Yes.
Which I really liked. But she has a lackluster end.
Yeah. I thought that was kind of not satisfying. And not deserved either.
Yeah.
Her death scene.
I agree.
Yeah, because she is, what we find out in the flashback, that it is Woody Harrelson that was her lover at one point. And she's taken away because Ron Perlman has a thing for dark-haired ladies.
And if you think about it, Woody Harrelson is the cause of her death.
Yeah.
If she wouldn't have saw him, she would have ran towards the girl, and she wouldn't have stopped and been like shocked to see him, and she wouldn't have been.
So you made this movie more horrible by that realization.
Yeah, you are the cause of her death.
Yeah.
So
I thought she was gonna be like some ninja assassin that was on their team. That was like killer number 1 that they just hid.
Yeah.
Like Ron Perlman wasn't gonna be number 1. He was gonna be 0. But she did look good though. I'll give her that.
and this movie wasn't that long ago either.
No, I think it was 2010 if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right then. And under her, who captured... No, let me think. Like, with her and Woody Harrelson, like, I felt almost like she was going to be connected to Josh Hartnett. But then it was Woody Harrelson, and Josh didn't really have much of a backstory until it was revealed at the very end of the movie.
Right.
And it was very expected.
Yes.
Well, yeah. I mean, you kind of got that.
I definitely expected it.
Did you expect the fight to end so quickly with him and Ron Perlman?
I mean, he got hit with a frickin' axe, and
his shaving axe.
His shaving axe, nonetheless. But the fact that he got hit and he went down, and the entire time he is crying in pain. So I don't expect the fight to last super long at that point.
But you wanted something like to relieve that pressure of like, because this movie is a very slow build. You wanted that last
Very
fight to be
slow.
like, "Rrr." And it was very reserved.
I mean, toe to toe, he couldn't have beat Ron Perlman. He couldn't have in any way, shape, or form. Ron Perlman would have destroyed him. Just by the way that they portray him about how strong he is, he wouldn't have gotten close.
Yeah, because he's strong for the fact that he chopped down trees and never studied martial arts. That's what I'm to assume.
I mean, what's to say Josh Hartnett studied martial arts? He's a brawler. He can learn that on the streets. Ron Perlman probably is just a bruiser and would just mow him over.
But then we have
also axes.
Also, the rest of the cast, though, is all martial arts. And it's like only these two. And I think it's killer number 3, there's a brawler as well.
Yeah, the one that Josh Hartnett.
Yeah,
faced.
that was my favorite fights of it. Those mirror matches where it
Yeah.
was Gat versus number 3 and Josh Hartnett versus number 2. So it was basically cowboy versus cowboy and samurai versus samurai.
Yeah, that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
I like even Yoshi's was more satisfying. That quick one with him versus number 3. Damn these numbers instead of names.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Like, they had the whole ceremony, they took it very seriously, and then it was over in one move. I felt that way more satisfying than the Ron Perlman fight with Josh Hartnett at the end.
Well, I mean, again, he has those quick hands. He showed how quick his hands are, but if he didn't have that knife, he would have been dead.
Yeah, the arrow tip.
If he wouldn't have had that arrow tip, he would have been dead, and he knew it. So he said he'll never stab you in the back. He was going to face him head on, but he wouldn't have been able to win a fight one-on-one against him. He had to do a quick jab to the throat because that's the only way he could have taken him down.
Well, let's get more in depth into Ron Perlman's character. Like, his character, did he have much, like, let's bring up that same question. Describe him without his job or what he was wearing.
Sasquatch.
Sasquatch.
Yeah, he did kind of look very Sasquatchy. Yeah.
All right, I'll add without his job, without what he looked like, and what mythical creature he resembled.
He is, again, the strongest man east of the
Atlantic.
So, that's how he did it. He fought his way up to the top. He's the crownless king at that point.
There wasn't much, like, they brought up at the beginning of the film that all of these gangs get to fight for supremacy, and whoever wins controls everything. Is there any type of government in this town besides the police who are part of Ron Perlman's gang, for lack of a better word?
I think it's just the gangs.
Yeah.
Just one.
Well, just the one.
Well, you had the Proletariat League of Defense, you had the People's Republic, you had the Red Suits, and the Killers.
The Red Suits were part of the Killers.
Yeah, they're just not killers. They're just the Red Suit Gang.
And the Green Day gang. I'm only saying that because they all look like the lead singer of Green Day.
Oh, you're talking about the odds.
Yeah.
They were doing...
The circus people.
Yes.
Yeah.
What they call the Warriors?
Yeah, the Warriors. they're I guess they're called the odds.
Yeah, because they're circus folk.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, because he had to beat the odds.
Yeah.
Oh God, I didn't think. Oh my God,
it's like a double joke where
Yeah.
there was more of them than him, but they were extremely odd.
Yeah.
So they are the odds.
So they were the odds.
Are they extremely odd or just Green Day fans?
Lots of Green Day
Maybe.
fans.
Maybe both.
Because then he just starts beating them up, and that's like, was the leader of them that one that Josh Hartnett fought in the circus?
No, the leader of them was the dude he combo punched and killed at the end. The one that looks like the lead singer of Green Day. He was the
Which
leader
number
of
was
the
he?
odds. He didn't have a number.
Oh.
He was the leader of the odds. The dude he fought at the circus was, I think, killer number 6.
Yeah, he was just like, I want a circus theme too. I
Yeah.
can do it better.
But yeah, when I still get goosebumps when Josh Hartnett does that 1, 2, 3 punch and then cracks him in the jaw and he just goes limp and dies. I'm just like, oh God.
Oh. Yeah, the trampoline guy, he got his neck snapped, didn't he? Because they cut away from it. That was a really bad angle. You couldn't see what he did. I thought he whispered in his ear and he just fainted.
Well, he knew that the guy was going for a double bounce type thing, so he went down with him, and when they both came up, he grabbed him, snapped his neck.
Yeah, they needed to put that in a wider shot so we could see it a little bit better.
Oh yeah. Their cameras were not the greatest thing in this movie.
Yeah, they weren't.
But, I mean, then again, that whole one shot where he's fighting through the police station was pretty cool.
Let me bring that up. The video game scenes, there was two of them. There was the jail scene with all the video game music and sound effects and everything, and the car chase, which was, wow, GTA top down and just rolling with it. That also brings me to the music of this movie. it did not want to stay in one genre.
No.
I copied down, I heard 20s music, Western music, feudal Japan music, I heard 70s music, modern music, rock music, and that video game score. It was a lot. It was like, I don't know what to pick. But some of it, yeah, one of the best scenes was that jailhouse break-in where he's just going through it like a level of a Nintendo game.
And it's all one continuous shot, which is really cool.
Well, let's take a U-turn and go back to the enemies under Ron Perlman. We didn't really talk too much about them, like his main henchman, who was a big part of the film, even more so than Ron Perlman, which was Killer Number 2. Just this crazy Englishman, I think the only one left in the world.
Is he Irish?
Irish
Yeah,
or
in
English?
real life, he's Scottish.
Yeah, I guess he would be Scottish in this movie, too. He did kind of have a really thick accent.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether he was, I don't know.
Vegetarian. I think that is Scottish. That's hardcore Scottish.
But he was actually nice, too. I felt like, you could define him easily without saying what his job is, assassin, and what he looked like. He was, like, stuck-up, arrogant, thought he was the best. Even was... almost took on Ron Perlman at the end because he almost wanted to be in Ron Perlman's spot, but he didn't want to be.
I think at that point when Ron Perlman was staring him down, he knew he would never beat Ron Perlman. Just the way, it's the same thing with Josh Hartnett. Once you take a look at your situation, you go, I can't beat him.
What if they had a dance-off?
I mean, if he had a dance-off, Kevin McKidd would, and Killer Number 2 would have won it hands down. Especially with that little ballet in the beginning.
Oh yeah, and his neckerchief. I loved it.
That was such a great...
And he was like holding some sort of weird invisible sword, like he was like had it on. Remember, like he was like.
Oh, he was. What he did, he had the neckerchief out, but he was listening the entire time. So when he had it, they would come in and he would counter and smack them in the head.
Yeah.
He didn't. He never killed anybody in that scene.
But he looked like he was
gang
like
came up
wiping the. He looked like he was about to wipe the sword clean. But
Yeah,
he didn't have a sword in his
Well,
hand.
he was mocking them.
Yeah.
The entire time he's like mocking them, like I'm wiping my blade, but he never killed anybody.
Yeah, in the end he only had that little tiny like pen blade. He didn't really have a sword.
Well, yeah, it's a detachable. He can attach it, long cane sword, detach it, knife, which he used to stab that guy right in the eye.
Yeah.
Yes. Ouch.
And he actually, like, I know he was fearful. Everybody was fearful of the woodcutter. I kind of wish with Ron Perlman, the woodcutter, that they kind of gave a scene where he actually fought someone. Because he just kept throwing axes. And he had an axe for everything.
The Hammer Bros.
Yeah. I think with that, it's kind of just like, he's a fallen king at this point. He's getting old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's not going to go out and fight. That's why he has other people fight for him. He's a symbol. He even said that himself. I am a symbol. The person gets old, but the costume doesn't.
Yes.
Right.
That's why he wore all the robes.
Like Dread Pirate Roberts.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you just needed something to establish how good, maybe a flashback at the beginning to show when he was coming up how easily you could kill everybody.
Oh, yeah.
But in this, we just had to take his word for it. That Josh Hartnett doesn't know how to dodge.
He's so good, nobody even tries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had... Demi Moore was pregnant at the end of this, wasn't she?
Yes.
Yeah.
And was that the reason she didn't run out of the flaming building at the end?
Could be.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Like, she kind of just stood there and was like, oh, I thought that's what we were supposed to get. Like, she's pregnant, she sees Woody Harrelson, her former love, and it's like, I can't go back because I have the son of this man.
I guess so.
Maybe.
I mean, I think it was
'cause
all
she
just
didn't
like
even try.
one quick, scene.
Yeah, it was
So-
very hard to tell what exactly was going on there.
I think that's up for interpretation.
A lot of this movie is up
agree.
for interpretation.
I like that. I kind of like that, though, because it's not straightforward. It makes you think, and it's up for whatever you want to take it as.
But is that a good sign or a bad sign? Because you kind of have to fill in a lot of the movie yourself. And, like, okay, you can have things... It's good to have things shrouded in mystery, like horror films. If we don't exactly know where the evil comes from, that makes it better. It makes it grander because you're scared of the unknown. Not like, oh, his mother's crazy and he's a zombie. That's why he's evil.
Jason?
Yeah.
Just making sure.
But there's some stuff you would like to have, like, set, like, backstory just showing us, like, instead of being told that Ron Perl's the man, show us him being the man.
Right.
Well, and they kind of did in the first scene.
Well, again, he just threw the axe into the guy.
Right, but I mean, don't you think that's pretty intimidating? That, I mean, this
We didn't
guy...
even see it. All we saw was him, like, the axe in a single shot, and then we saw him
Yeah, but
drop.
I mean, everybody who walked away from that was like, oh my god, he did this and that and the other thing, and he
He's a
was
legend.
only out for a second, and he didn't even get a chance to even look.
But I mean, with number 2,
where
we
he
see
was.
him do that, mock them. We see that number 2 is a badass. But with Ron Perlman, you take that first guy in the first gang fight we see, who's like wobbling the sword. You see that he's kind of dorky. He doesn't have any idea what he's going to do with those. And like that's who Ron Perlman takes out in a bullet. Maybe if he was a guy that actually gave trouble to number 2, and then Ron Perlman took him out in a second, that would elevate Ron Perlman. But
part of the woodcutter's like legend is
it's
that
that
costume.
he can whittle like a bastard.
No, is that costume.
Yes.
I mean, that's part of like he's more of a like manipulative.
But is he? He doesn't care. He just had number 2 run
No,
everything.
but what I mean is like part of him being feared by people is a manipulation, like him just like playing games with their mind.
Well, at the beginning, it was just because he went through and killed everybody.
Yeah.
As we're just told.
Right,
We're not
but
shown.
I mean, now he's older and he has to do what he can do, and that's what he can do. He can make you scared of him.
But it almost
by
seemed
not
like
even doing anything.
he didn't want to do that. He was just bored with it all.
He was waiting for someone to come through the ranks to be worthy enough to challenge him.
Right, and nobody was.
Did he really want that? Because it didn't seem
It's-
like
said
he
he
wanted
wanted
it.
it.
Yeah, he said, I'm waiting for somebody to come and challenge me.
Yeah, I mean, at the end where he's like, I kind of hope they make it through here. But through the beginning, he's just like, I've become lazy and fat, and I want to go out and...
But he
Laser
can't.
glory.
But he doesn't want to die.
Yeah.
If he goes out, everyone's going to gun for him.
Yeah, that's why he wears the disguise that sticks him out so much.
But people are afraid.
But
So
they don't know who he really is.
yeah, nobody
They
has
don't
seen
know
his
what he
face.
really looks like.
So he could just go out and
could
be
go
just
out.
Yeah,
like
because
in regular clothes.
he did go to the sushi restaurant every week, and that was his favorite place to go.
Yeah.
Hey.
But then since everybody was, again, all these people are starting to challenge
No,
and
don't
push
come over
forward,
to love. You're not.
he had to send people out and he had to stay back because people would start to gun for him.
Stop it.
But we're supposed to understand that he is best in the world. He'll just lay him out instantly.
To a certain degree. I mean, you can always sneak attack somebody, but
True.
I mean, you had people on the rooftops who saying that somebody wouldn't just take out a bow and arrow and just pick them off.
Well, speaking with that and the sneak attack, did anybody else feel like guns were going to take some part of this movie? Like they made so much emphasis that guns are banned, and even at a point in the movie, somebody said for currency you could trade bullets because they were very valuable. I thought at some point, like maybe one of the killers would have a gun. Like that would be raising the stakes at the end. Like they have guns. Oh god.
Maybe. There is signs that say guns punishable by death.
Yeah.
So I guess there is some sort of government controlling stuff.
But he controls
But-
the government, so...
In that part, but this is like a world band. This isn't just like a specific part of the country band. It's a worldwide band, so
I
it
thought
might
it
be
was-
like a weird like UN thing.
I thought their world was just that, and that's like the remaining group of people since the war like ravaged everything.
I think there's probably parts
Yeah.
scattered around.
But no world government.
I think in a world where everybody is such a fighter, a gun would make you look like a big tool.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't want a gun because you'd be a big giant
True.
pussy.
Yeah.
I'd take a gun.
I may be a pussy, but I'm
I'm
still
alive.
alive.
Woody Harrelson's weapon of choice, a baseball bat? Anybody else like that?
I did. That was funny. Because you see him with the club, and then you
Yeah.
see him with the bat, and he takes the bat.
Yeah,
and
off the random stranger.
American of you.
All right, towards the last fight, there was a thing that confused me. So they meet up with like a band of the rebels that were just shop owners and everything. They learned karate and swordsmanship with an old French general that was waiting for the day that these two came along, Gat and Hartnett. What was that about? I knew about the army, but that French general, like...
He was... If you notice, there's actually posters of him around, and the one guy said, general for president and stuff like that.
And then he got... Redcoats took him.
Yeah, took him away. He is secluded from everybody because he's important. He knows, as I said, he knows the location of how to get to the Red, Coat Army, and he knows how to get to the mansion up to where the guy
on the hill, right?
Yeah.
So his way is to climb.
That's
the secret passage.
I mean, it is secret. They still got there.
That's true. And no one bugged him.
No. Nobody said, hey, that was terrible. Don't ever let us do that again.
Well, I kind of lost it on the plan for that last fight. They assault the little compound of all the killers, a couple of the killers, but their main Red gang. And Josh Hartnett's on a bike by himself, away from the army, and Gat is with that army. They assault the place, and Josh Hartnett just rides around on a dirt bike aimlessly to show up in the nick of time?
I think what happened was Josh Hartnett was supposed to go in, stir them up, have them like, what's going on, and then they're supposed to surge in and take them out.
But he doesn't do that.
He does. He jumps in, he goes in, he stirs them up, and then he drives off, and then he kind of just sits there and looks like, this is my destiny. And I think he was deciding whether or not he should just go for it or go back. I think he was kind of at a crossroads of what he should do at that point, and he decided to go back.
All right, then I completely missed where he jumped in and stirred them up.
Well, yeah, he jumped in and he did that ride around on the bike and got them all to come out.
Yeah, I thought he was supposed to they were going to distract that group, and he was just going to go up to the mountain fortress.
No, because if he would have done that, they would have came up and surged them at the house. The plan was to take out the camp, then move on.
With him helping at the camp.
He was supposed to help at the camp, but he started to ride off, and then that's where the crossroads came in. Should he go forward, or should he go back to help?
Yeah, I mean, he did kind of never have to work with other people before. I guess that was the only growth, really, that you could see in that character.
Yeah, but did he really have a reason to just abandon them?
Well, his reasoning would be that he doesn't need a partner, he doesn't need their help.
He's a lone wolf. He was always a lone wolf.
Right.
Yeah, but even at that point, he knew he couldn't take care of all those numbered killers.
I think it's his ego.
Yeah.
His ego. As I said, he always thought that he was the best when he walked into his room. You could see it on his face.
I didn't really see that in him. I saw somebody who was cocky, but I didn't see someone who was confident. I saw it maybe in the poker game, but that's because he was using trickery. I didn't really see him... probably because they didn't give him many scenes to be that confident, crazy guy.
Well, I mean, in the bar, when he just walked up to the dude, punched him in the face, and he looked at them like, what are you going to do about it? And they all got up to do it, and he was just standing there like, okay, come on. And the other guy came up, punched him, killed him, and went...
But I didn't see that with Josh Hartnett. If you put anybody in that spot, you'd get the same thing. But Josh Hartnett didn't really... didn't have that je ne sais quoi, if you will.
I think he always, came off as the lone wolf. He went to grab the money to leave. While everyone was sitting there worried about Yoshi, he went, I'm going to do my business. And that's what he always had, his business and his mission on his mind. Everyone else came second. And that's when he rode off, that was his mission. He had it on his mind, but then he had that kind of maybe I need to go back. Because now these people are helping me. And I think that's when he turned around and came back to them.
But I don't... that doesn't seem like a good display for that, does it? It would almost seem like if Ron Perlman was caught off guard at that point and he had an opportunity to either save them or kill Ron Perlman, and then that was the dilemma. But the dilemma was he's going to sit there and wait. He's still going to wait, or I could go back and help.
No, he was gonna push forward and just go right to Ron Perlman.
Yeah, but
he was like, they're doing their thing, I'm gonna go do my thing. But then he was like, and then I think when he was sitting there, he stopped, he pondered, and went, I'm gonna go back for them, and he went back for them.
But there's no reason for him to hurry to Ron Perlman. It's not like he had a kid. There was no time limit. Ron Perlman was going to wait as long as it took.
Right, but he was there. He saw the house. He was like, that's where I need to be. And he was staring at it like, I'm going to go there. And then he was like, damn it, I'm going to go back and get those people. Because, I mean, even from just what was going on, they would have never survived. I mean, Woody Harrelson would have died if he didn't come back. Yeah, he saved Woody Harrelson from dying.
Yeah, so we had to rewind that because I was like, what happened to the guy Woody... Because Woody Harrelson's fighting with everybody, and then all of a sudden he's in the building rescuing Yoshi's cousin. Yoshi's cousin, and he was in a big fight with one of the numbered guys. And I had to rewind it because I didn't know what happened to him. Josh Hartnett just comes in out of nowhere and hits him. Yeah. Like, there's not a close-up to show you that it's the same guy Woody was fighting. You're just supposed to kind of know. Because he was the only black guy, I think.
Well, except for the
trapeze artist.
Trapeze guy.
But I meant at this final fight. He was the... Yeah. No, there was the guy with the shirtless doing capoeira.
Yeah.
Who ended real quick. Yeah. Like, they built some of them up a lot, and then they just took them out real quick, those killers.
I think it's also the fact of just, like, you know, if they have 10 of them, you're not going to build these guys up and then have, like, a 20-minute fight for each of them, because that would be, like... Yeah.
They were cannon fodder.
Yeah, but couldn't you cut out, like, you could have gotten...
Yeah, you could have been 5. Yeah.
Or 2-1-1, or you could have gotten rid of, like, the odds and just had a couple of the numbered guys to give them more.
Yeah, you could have gotten rid of a lot of fights.
You could have had a game of death kind of thing where him and Yoshi had to go through all the levels of the hut to get to Perlman or something, but that would change the movie, so that's not really here or there. How about the aesthetics to this movie? The look, the feel, with all the designs of the interior, the exterior, the puppet, kind of the Bunraku of it all, which is just a Japanese puppet show. I really, really liked it.
Yeah, I liked it too.
It was pretty cool.
I loved all the set design.
I'm super big on stylization, so anything that's different than just like shot down an alley in a building, where it kind of everything folded in on itself and made it look like a pop-up book. I like that. It's a different approach. And
they linked it to the pop-up books of Woody Harrelson and the story of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was
definitely Spider-Man.
Yeah, even at the end is like great responsibility. I was like, oh wow, you're not even trying to disguise it, are you?
Well, Arachnidus is actually, I believe, a Greek story.
Yeah.
Where Spider-Man is actually taken from, so...
I love the signs of, like, the bar, the horseless horseman with the with his legs just spread apart.
And the thumbs up OK Corral.
Yeah.
I didn't notice any of that.
That's where Josh Hartnett was staying.
I noticed that. I was like, he would stay at the OK Corral, wouldn't he?
Or like the Pianist Wanted sign with like and it's just playing music.
So was it like the aesthetic of it, was it kind of like 1920s-ish? Or was it kind of, where did, like those names, were they just puns to be puns? Or did they actually take, how do I put that? Like,
we're supposed
inspiration from a certain time period.
We're supposed to think that it's Japan.
Is it?
Yeah, because the way the sun, especially at the end where the sun was rising in Japan, and it was supposed to be like, well, Yoshi's from Japan and his uncle is here, and he's from a village from Japan, so I'm sure he didn't travel like from a plane to get to there.
Yeah, I
he
felt
took a
like-
train to get there.
I felt like it was supposed to be a fusion of an old western and Japan.
Yeah.
Or you know how we have Chinatown, they have American Town.
That's true.
Like I
like
think
it.
that's exactly what it is.
So we really think this happened in Japan.
I believe it's Japan, especially with the buildings and the way everything's set up. Everything looks like a Japanese.
Well, wouldn't you describe Ron Perlman of everything west of the Pacific then?
I mean, depending on where the map is, especially where how much did the nukes take away? So we never really got that. So east of the Atlantic would be, if nothing is over.
Yeah, you would
in
think
the
like
Pacific.
Europe all the way over to the end of Asia.
Yeah.
But like if they're in Japan,
It's
yeah.
again, it's one of those things where you
Yeah,
just
they
have
don't
to go with it.
Yeah, they don't tell you anything. It's supposed to be anywhere. And with
Yeah.
the mixture of culture, you would think it would be somewhere like smack in the middle of it all,
Right.
because there wasn't a set like nationality there.
Also,
You had Scottish, you had Ron Perlman, who's his own nationality.
well, I think also you're thinking of a globe where they're thinking of a map. If you have a map, North America's here, Japan's here, so east of the Atlantic is everything from Europe to Asia, and North America is west of the Atlantic.
Unless you have an American map where we're so stuck up that we had to be in the middle and cut Asia in half.
Yes.
Not very important, but I like that, just that little second of like just glances between like the cousin and Josh Hartnett and then Gact, like where it's like
At the end, where she looks at Josh Hartnett's like, yeah, and Gac's like, oh, you.
Oh yeah,
What?
like that little throwaway, like they're like there's interest between them,
Yeah.
which kind of just shows
Momentarily.
up, but
yeah,
it's cute.
It's random, but I just
The fight between Gact and Hartnett, what did you think about that?
Oh,
It
that one
was-
in the
yes,
in the rain.
street,
Like-
in the
Yeah.
rain. Yeah.
Yeah, on like Woody Harrelson's top of his bar or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Woody Harrelson was my favorite part of the fight, if that sums
Yes.
it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Because
Definitely.
the fight was Josh Hartnett and him. I think the rain and everything was to disguise stunt people when they were doing certain moves. But I felt it was a little too slow and kind of very like it wasn't between like they were limited by what they could do as actors. They were really martial artists or stuntmen. So.
They actually, like, a couple of the scenes, Josh Hartnett and Gact actually fought in some of the scenes.
Yes, and that's when it was a little too slow for my because they were obviously not trying to hurt each other, they weren't really trained to stuntmen. So
Right, but not only that, this fight was to show what their abilities are.
yeah, and they were supposed to show them on an even level.
Right, and when Gact first puts his hand up, and Josh Hartnett pushes it down and pops him in the nose and breaks his nose, and then the next time he puts his hand up and goes, "Now try," and he flips him over his back. I think it's kind of like a unstoppable force, immovable object fight, where you finally show that they are
Evenly matched and
Yeah.
can hang with each other.
and very powerful. Like, if you notice some of the things that they were doing, like Josh Hartnett hit him hard, and he was still moving. Josh Hartnett killed other people, and this is also like they don't care about each other at this point, so they could have killed each other.
Yeah, but with that, when he finally got the sword part, like he took Woody Harrelson's umbrella because it starts to rain, takes off the umbrella and has the stick like a sword. I thought at that point it was going to be like, okay, Josh Hartnett cannot be beat hand to hand by Gact, but Gact with a sword can beat Josh Hartnett. They didn't really do that. They kind of
He did.
like he gets knocked down, he gets up, he has a sword, but even then, it was a draw at that point. Like Gact really didn't have a point where he was like superior, but Josh Hartnett felt superior throughout the whole thing.
He could have been. I mean, if you think about it, Josh Hartnett was the man who killed Ron Perlman at the end.
True.
He was the best fighter.
But was he, or was it just a cheap trick that he did? Because Ron didn't know.
He saw him step on it. He saw the arrow. I mean, he didn't really hide the fact that he snapped the arrow in half.
Yeah, because Yoshi wouldn't have picked it up and shot it again. That's what I thought was conveyed to Ron Perlman. Ron Perlman turns around, he grabs the arrow and like hides it in his sleeve until Ron Perlman gets close enough where he does his card trick again, basically, and gets him in the throat.
Still beat the best man.
True.
So,
but the best man in.
I mean, you think about it. Let's bring it to the Punisher. The Punisher in the movie, the guy standing him over with a gun. And he said, "You stupid bastard! You brought a knife to a gunfight, and it was a ballistic knife. And shot him right in the neck. Still won the fight. So, I mean, it's still a trick.
Yeah,
but he still won the fight.
But with a movie like this, that's where it's like you're not gratified with that nice ending. It's just Hartnett on the ground, writhing in agony for most. 90% of it.
Which, again, I like because it doesn't show Hartnett as being super overpowered, Superman glorified. Like, he is down. He is going through a shit ton of pain, especially when he steps on it and he's crying out in pain. He knows probably right there he won't win toe-to-toe. So he does his best to get his revenge any way he can.
Very much. If they didn't have that mirror fight beforehand, I probably would have been a lot more disappointed with the ending. How about you two? What did you think of the fights from a woman's point of view? There was no lady action and fighting action.
No.
Yeah, I was kind of... I don't know.
It was a very masculine movie.
I was disappointed by how poorly the cousin could fight, because I was just like, oh, she tried, but she wasn't good.
She made a stance that she saw in a comic once, and that was it.
Like, wah, wah.
Well, I mean, Killer Number 2 said, it was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't good enough to beat Killer Number 2, but he said, no, it was pretty good. Like, hey, pretty good for, a feisty girl.
But in this, we really didn't see... The strongest girl was the one in the odds gang.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there was one.
The brass knuckles?
Yeah.
But I'm surprised they didn't have a woman as at least one of the main characters, or like that's what I thought. Drew Barrymore. This is not Charlie's Angels.
Ever after.
That would be
Demi Moore.
Demi Moore.
Such a different movie if it was Drew Barrymore and Demi Moore's part.
But Drew Barrymore can do action. She's been in action type movies. I'm surprised they didn't have her as something like that.
She's just got too sweet a face, whereas Demi Moore has a sour face.
Yeah.
So.
Plus, Demi Moore is a whore in the movie. That's all she was.
She's not. She's very faithful to one man. Well, actually, two. So.
Well, no, it's his whore. That they said it many times. It's his.
Well, he doesn't treat her as a whore.
He did in the beginning,
and she wasn't a whore either. Like, she was kidnapped, and then it was just Ron Perlman and her. So she's only had two. So for a whore, she's pretty good.
No, she was with the men in the back.
No, Ron Perlman would have killed them outright.
No, she was.
They did die.
Yeah, they
but
did.
That's because they lost track of her, and she was doing drugs in a bathtub.
No, it wasn't.
But they call her a whore for a reason. It's his whore. And she didn't start out as his whore. He brought her along with him, and then he got a liking to her, and then he was just solely hers.
Yeah.
But he explained all that. Like, he said,
to give...
You're much more than a whore to me.
Yeah, to keep Woody Harrelson alive, she said she would go with him and agree to be with him so Woody Harrelson could remain alive. And that's why he has the bum leg throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
And she does... What was that? Opium? She was doing in the tub?
She was...
Which they never bring up again. I thought she was going to be a drug addict or something.
I thought what it was a drink and a spoon with a flaming thing of sugar.
And you would just... absinthe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought it was. It was like you let it burn, you let it melt, you start in the drink it. Because I know heroin doesn't come in cube form.
Yeah, I was thinking like an opiate. I said opiate. Although I don't know what opiate looks like. Oh, God.
Well, Mike, it looks like...
Well, here, it's in my pocket. Just don't call the brazzers on me.
Hello.
Well, it has to be good for something. He had some nice poems.
He did.
About skeletons in the wall, so maybe not the best thing in the world. As I think we're pretty much cleared of everything we wanted to talk about on Someone Told Me to Watch This, and that is if there's one thing you could change to make this movie better for you, and it's something small, not like a director or actor or film style, what would it be to make this film better? And I'm not going to go to Jenny first because she looks deep in thought. So I'll go in Angie because she looks deep in questioning.
I don't really know what I would change. Like, I really have no idea.
It's a perfect movie then?
It's not perfect, but I don't really know that anything would make it better or worse.
So,
I mean,
as far as you're content with how it is?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It wasn't like the best thing I've ever seen, but I didn't hate it.
All right.
So, it was likable.
And you, Miss Ulrich?
Get rid of the narrator?
Yeah.
Like, keep him in the
Completely,
beginning.
or just have a little
just
bit
in the
of him?
beginning, and then none for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
I think he really kind of, on like some of the things, it's just so goofy. Like, it's just some parts where it's like, that's the way he tucked her in at night, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, what is this?
Oh, yeah.
And then it was just like, you know, the one part when he's
that
just
part?
like...
What was that part?
when he was
I remember that
sitting
randomly.
he was going into the casino and he was like, you know, that's what the mother said when he tucked him in every night and blah. And like, there's one part like happy birthday fucker. Like, there's really no need for any of that. What does that mean?
Well, it was his birthday.
Well, the guy he punched or
died.
him? It's like, yeah, that would be the only thing that really took anything away from me, is just get rid of the narrator throughout the entire movie. We don't need a head guy. We know that what's going on. He's not actually narrating anything that's going on. He's just making little quips about stuff. And that's it. It should have ended
Past
with
that point.
It should have ended with it. You know, usually it starts with a lone drifter on the train, pan back, or two, and that's where it should have ended.
Yeah. But then he kept popping, and he was very heavy in the first third of the movie. Then he was gone for the second third, and then he showed up again for the third. And I was confused sometimes. I was like, is that the person thinking, or is that the narrator?
Yeah, it's weird. He should have been taken out.
All right, Jennifer, what do you think?
I don't know that I could come up with something small enough. I don't know if this is small enough. They could have really
The whole cast.
No, they really could have cut out like a whole half hour of this movie.
You would have
Or more.
All right.
more.
What one scene would you cut out?
Oh my gosh.
What scene
about
did you feel like was kind of worthless?
the part where I got up out of the chair and was... okay, so I would say the scene that I would cut was the part in the movie where I got up off the chair in frustration and like swore at this screen because they were like still doing background stuff and I was still an hour and 45 minutes into the movie and I was really annoyed. And it was the scene when they had met those guys, the rebel fighter guys, and then they had to do a whole scene where they had to fight and get on the cowboy's good side and like prove themselves to the cowboy, and it was just all this like then they were practicing with the cowboy and with the samurai, and I was like, oh my gosh, why?
So take out the training montage.
This whole 45 I was like, it was like an hour 45 minutes into this movie and I was like, if I see one more fight scene I am going to lose it. And I still had like 4 more fight scenes in this movie.
When we were watching it, it was like we started it at like 2 in the morning, and I was like, and now, like, I was just like, the last couple of fights, like the reason I've been kind of quiet is like I kept dozing off, and it wasn't for lack of like the fight being exciting, but I was just like, I'm unconscious now. Oh, like, It's 5 in the morning almost.
I mean, I actually did kind of stay awake throughout the movie, but I definitely was zoning because it was just all like fight scenes. I was like, is there a plot to this movie? Or is there dialogue? Please help me out here.
Very minimalistic on that part.
Definitely minimalistic on everything except fight scenes. It was all this movie was. I got a little old after a while, and I like a good fight scene, but this was like overkill. No pun intended.
Like all the fight scenes, I felt I didn't feel a raise in stakes. Like with movies, you have the first fight, it's tiny, and then they build and they're better and better and better, and then the last one's like gigantic. I had the same thing with the new Mission Impossible movie. Like the stunts and those action scenes were great, but none topped any of them. So it felt like it didn't feel like there was escalating stakes. And in this movie, all the fights just felt like the stakes were the same. It just didn't feel like this fight's so much better than this fight.
Right, and maybe that's why it was so boring, because there was nothing like monumental like in any of these fight scenes. Like it was always just like proving themselves or training or just there was nothing monumental at all.
I feel like that was more style than substance. Like I feel like they're like, and this is this flavor fight. This is the video gamey one, and this is the one that's like a Fred Astaire number. Like that's what they were going with.
And I didn't think they were done badly. There was just so many of them, and some of them were just so unnecessary.
And they felt kind of the same each time.
Yeah,
they could have been like deleted scenes or a special feature where you're like, oh, and here's another kind of fight. Oh, that was neat.
I still think my favorite fight scene throughout the whole one is the first one.
I like the mirror fight the best, with cowboy versus cowboy and samurai versus samurai, because the cowboy fights were very like in your face and they're going crazy with it. It's high paced, high adrenaline, and then you have cutting in between that, you have calm, honorable samurai, and I liked that contrast, and it made them both stand out a little bit more.
I liked the last fight
with Ron Perlman
because the movie was over.
But with what I would change, Demi Moore, I would have liked her. She didn't need to die, but if she had to, more closure with Woody Harrelson. Like maybe she pushes Woody out of the way, saves him. She's trapped in a log. They have that little last talk, something along those lines. She saves Woody from that last...
I still love you, and then she dies in his arms.
I wouldn't go that hammy.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Like when Woody's having trouble with the one numbered guy, Demi Moore saves him, but she takes a stab somewhere, something like that. Sure. And that would give her character more purpose. Or if she was just straight up a fighter, I would have liked that even more. But that would be changing her role completely. But that's it. All right. So if you had to watch this movie in a week's time or so, would you put your cell phone down and pay attention to the movie fully?
No.
Oh, so let's start with Jenny, since she's creeping her answer up.
No, I really don't think I could do it again. I barely did it the first time without my phone.
So what you're saying is you don't really like the movie?
No, like, I didn't have any problem with the actors. Like, I didn't have any problem with the fight scenes, like, and the aesthetic was really cool, and I started out really liking the movie, but about like halfway through I was like, I can't believe we're nowhere near done with this movie. It just was so drawn out. That was my biggest problem. It's just it was slow and drawn out, and it was way too long. But you know how I am in movies. As soon as you tell me the runtime, I'm like, nope. Nope. We're not watching that one. Nope.
All right, how about we go to Angie? How about you?
I'd like to see it again because I feel bad that I was like semi-conscious, and I mean I feel like I missed a lot, but at the same time I don't know if I could put down the cell phone for it. But then I'd miss a lot. So I don't know. It would be hard.
I'll save Rick for last. With me, I would be kind of half and half. There would be scenes where I'd be on my phone, but there's other scenes. I went over the fight a dozen times, that mirror fight. I always like Ron Perlman. And Woody Harrelson, just to see the scenes he was in, I would pay attention and I would enjoy it. But overall, the movie's just okay to me. It doesn't stand out, and it doesn't stand out being really good. It doesn't stand out being really bad. It's completely average to me.
So it's definitely a movie that you would be like, hey, you know, if you have time and you have a lonely Saturday, just watch this.
Yeah, if I was on a bus ride and it was the movie I had, I wouldn't mind watching it again.
See, with me, since I've seen this movie so much, there's so much in the background to see, and they throw in little things every once in a while in the background that if you miss it, it's gone. So if you do watch the movie, try taking your focus off of what's going on and start looking at what's actually going on in the background.
Like the sets and everything?
Yeah.
I would probably pay attention to the sets a lot more.
The visual cues and everything. There's so much going on around that it's just really cool. Like, the moment you go, oh, look at that, that's hilarious. Like again, you flash the OK Corral and the horse. Look at some of the other building names; they're great.
All right, so in the end, that is the end.
Yeah.
And we're gonna wander off into the sunset, I guess. Thank you for joining us on Somebody Told Me to Watch This. If you want to follow us on Facebook, find us at STMTWT. If you want to hit us up on Twitter, we're at STMTWT Podcast. And you can always email us with recommendations, visual drawings of puppet shows. I don't know where that came from. Or just no deviant art. And you can find that email address you can't find it. You will have it at stmtwt@gmail.com. Thank you and take care.
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?